All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be talking to an individual who is in quite the historic fight for multiple reasons. BKFC taking over Dubai for two events, and April 5th is when this particular fight transpires, and it will crown the inaugural women's featherweight champion. And a very intriguing co-main event fight set to go down as Hannah Rankin knuckles up and toes the line against Jessica Borga. And great having Jessica on Bare Knuckle Bowker today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
And it seems like there's a lot of things to be excited about, as I was talking about. Like, it seems like, this Dubai foray, like, obviously represents more global expansion for the company. So, a cool thing to be part of in that sense, but also the chance to make history and become the first champion in that division. So, it's probably, quite a few things that's causing you to be so excited, I would imagine.
Honestly, yeah, just honored beyond even explanation. Like you said, there's so many things that being on this card, being on the other side of the world, fighting for the first 145 title. I mean, it's just there's I can't be more grateful for this opportunity.
And it seemed like this fight was discussed for a little bit, like at least in the sense of people who follow the sport indicating that that would be an intriguing fight. Like for you, when did the dialogue really, I guess, start to pick up as far as getting the bout concretely locked in?
Honestly, as soon as she mentioned before she was even signed with BKFC, she mentioned me on an interview. Somebody was like, "Hey, so and so reached out." I was like, I honestly didn't even know who she was. I feel bad for saying that. I mean, she's a two-time world champ boxer, but I just didn't know who she was. So I researched her. I saw the interview, and she said, Borga's sitting at the top of the 145 division. There's not a lot of 145ers, so of course, right away, I'm like. Yes, I want her. I knew she was a champion. She hadn't fought for BKFC yet. I was actually at her first fight in Spain for her first BKFC. I wanted to see how she'd do in bare knuckle. Either way, I wanted to fight her. It didn't matter. I love that she is experienced, and the tougher the opponent, the more excited I get. So yeah, I definitely made some noise. She said she was here to take over. I'm the only one she could take it from. She ain't taking it from me. So of course I'm gonna make a little noise.
And, you brought up the fight. What were your thoughts on her performance at that BKFC Spain card in October?
I think she was baptized by fire, but I think a lot of people are when they're coming from boxing to bare knuckle, they don't realize how different of a sport it is. And there's been a lot of fighters that, it's just their first one, they're getting they're dipping their toes in instead of just jumping in full. So I think she was baptized by fire, but there's something with this sport that you have to have. You have to have a certain thing about you in this sport, and everyone knows that. You have got to be violent. You have got to be aggressive. You have got to have what it takes for bare knuckle. And I don't see anyone being more than me in this division or any of the division. It's where I belong. This is where I was meant to be. I'm a bare knuckle boxer, and this is gonna show her what the difference is because she fought a 35er, and I hit harder than 45er. So so it's gonna be interesting.
And it's kind of intriguing. Like, it seems like there's been a bit of banter back and forth. Like, was there a point where you felt like it went beyond just like, oh, this would be an intriguing matchup against a pedigreed opponent to there being some level of, I guess, animosity, for lack of a better word?
I mean, I know shit talking is part of the game. I know that's part of it. Everyone loves that. And you have to make a little noise to get what you want sometimes. But yeah, I when she started playing the victim role of she's the one that initially said my name, I'm going to respond accordingly. So whenever someone plays the victim role of like, oh, she's being so mean, she's the one that came and started screaming at me. No, you asked if I was going to be there, and I made my presence known. There's a big difference there. I don't like the victim mentality. So like in this sport, you're not a victim, you're the predator, and I'm the fucking predator. So I'm okay being the bad guy.
And I mean, it seemed like you were referencing maybe that exchange that happened at the KnuckleMania V card in Philly. Was that what you were kind of touching on there, like the shouting?
Yes, yeah. Because I went up to she had tagged me in a post on IG and asked me, she's like, Black Widow Borga, see you in Philly. I wasn't even planning on going to Philly because I had gone to so many other events and I was just, pretty busy at the time. So, the moment I saw that, I was like, no, yep, I bought my tickets. I said, I'll see you there. And I wanted to see her there. So I made sure to find her, go up to her and say, hey, I'm here. You wanted me here. Sign the fucking contract. I just want to fight.
Yeah, and what a massive opportunity here, and just, a great opportunity for yourself individually, but also in that context of shift and everything. Just, David Mundell, current champion, Jared Warren has captured gold. I mean, Brandon Allen, Crystal Pittman, a lot of really high level bare knuckle fighters out of there. I imagine you have like a wealth of experience both on the technique and I guess just game planning level for this fight. Like it seems like there's something with that shift methodology that breeds champions or top contenders.
Honestly, it really does. I'm so lucky to have the team that I have. Being around such high level bare knuckle boxers is just different. It's just the coaches that we have, they have something special. Each of them work together so well to create and see the things that the other ones don't see and just create monsters. And I mean, a lot of us might have been monsters to start with, but they create that controlled chaos monster, and it's beautiful to see, honestly, with all my teammates, not just me. It's it's amazing to be part of it.
And it's interesting because you described Hannah Rankin's BKFC debut as more of like a baptism by fire kind of situation, whereas examining your BKFC career, I mean, 2-0, two first round KOs. Like, is there some aspects to this matchup that you see it encroaching beyond that mark? Because, I mean, both your bare knuckle fights combined don't even last one full round when put together, as I said. Like, do you see this fight ultimately being one that encroaches beyond that first round then, or?
I think she's determined to make it past the first round. I think that's a point for her, and I think she's tough enough to do it. She's fought some really good, Clarissa Shields. She's fought some really top level people with boxing gloves. Let me add that though. There's a big difference in how hard you get hit, especially with someone with as much power as me, and the technique that I haven't even got to show yet. So, I think she has the ability to maybe make it out the first round because she's determined to. But I guess we'll find out.
I guess that must be an exciting facet for you because you have these two emphatic knockouts. But again, to your point, you're not necessarily showing all the tools in the toolbox, as it were. So that must be something that maybe imparts a certain level of confidence, I suppose, just having all of these tools that the broader public hasn't seen yet.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of like I'm sure they know that once somebody's in the sport, they're gonna progress and stuff like that. But the fact that I haven't got to show that, it's kind of like a secret weapon, if you want to say. Like they think that, oh, she's not a technical boxer. Okay. Okay. But I haven't even had to show that because my aggression and power has stopped them. So that with my technique, especially with a technical boxer, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
And I've seen some articles kind of documenting the roots that you have and the passion you have, more specifically with MMA during your tenure with Bellator. Like, what are the roots to, I guess, the bare knuckle fascination? Like, what really got you so immersed into this sport?
Honestly, I wanted to, the moment they had started it way back. I was contracted with Bellator, so I was trying to get my four fight contract done. I actually got out of my four fight contract to do my first BKFC, but from the get go, it's been my style. Like, I stupidly was back in my younger years. I was a bar fighter, I was a brawler. I started there. I literally would be able to knock guys out at bars, like grown ass men, and I got hit by them too. So I knew that the bare knuckle didn't phase me. I knew that I'm good with pain. I can take pain like a like the best of them. I knew that this sport was for me, and the technique with being a professional fighter and all the experience that I've had just helped be able to do the clinch, do that kind of stuff that has been able to make it not even a change for me. I literally went in and that's where I belong. That, there was no change, there was no adapting. There was nothing. This is my sport.
Yeah, I remember reading an anecdote from that article that I kind of referenced. Like, I believe you were defending a woman in a bar and knocked a man out, and you're like, "Oh, lucky I have a powerful punch."
Yeah, yeah, that was before I mean, no technique, no, absolutely no. I mean, my dad, he was a cop, so I grew up. He taught me how to punch better than like those swinging stupid punches. So yes, I actually had probably a more accurate punch than others. But yeah, that was before the technique or anything. But I did not like men putting their hands on women. I grew up in domestic violence. I was in domestic violence relationships. I have my own nonprofit for domestic violence now. I ain't never gonna have another man put his hands on me without consequences now. But that's the reason why I got started into it. So. Yeah, yeah, that was back in my days. I'm not always proud of the stuff that I did, but I was always like a vigilante. It's not like I ever started the stuff, but I was gonna finish it. I don't know.
Well, that was the impression I got. Like, it's you're helping people out who are in a bad spot. Like, you're not initiating it for no reason. So, I mean, I think that's cool.
Yeah, I never tried to be the one to start it and do crazy stuff. I mean, now when I used to drink, that's a different story. I would think people are looking at me and they weren't. So that I don't drink anymore. I don't for that reason.
And you kind of mentioned I mean, you mentioned that your dad taught you like a certain amount of technique at that point, but it seemed like based on how you were talking about it, you almost had this very just natural, I guess, knockout power. And I mean, in concert with learning the proper technique over time, I mean, would pay dividends for sure. Like, is that something you've always kind of noticed? Like, there was that natural power and it's just been further refined through the technique over the years?
Yeah, honestly, I got very lucky. I've always been oddly strong, oddly strong. Like ever since I was a little kid, I remember helping my dad move, and I had, I want to say like a staircase thing, bookcase that was like twice my size, and I was just carrying it down on my back. I've always been like, I don't want to say the word retard strength, but I've always had retarded strength. Like it's been unreal, but yeah, the technique definitely helps with the power, for sure. That definitely comes into play, but and it's gotten more powerful because of that. But with bare knuckle, I've always known what I'm capable of and how much worse it is for them. So I was knocking them out in MMA gloves. So when I started my career, I think my first Anmi fight, I knocked her out in 10 seconds. My second one was in the first round, and I believe in the first round, minute or two in. So like I knew it. It's always been there. I kind of got away from it when I got better at my jujitsu, and then I started taking them down, and then people didn't. People pretty much forgot about my stand up, because it wasn't ever technical. It was just I'd catch them, they'd drop or something. Now I get to play that game.
Yeah, and it's been fun to see you play that game in your BKFC run so far, and it's great to see how much, I guess, featherweight action there is on this event. Like I mentioned, Brandon Allen, who's going to be fighting Dan Chapman in the featherweight feature fight, and he's obviously the top contender there. And then also another featherweight title fight with Kai Stewart versus Tommy Stridham. So great to see that.
Yeah, I'm excited about all these fights. There's such 2 nights of fights. Like it's just the biggest card and such good fights. So they have great matchups. I can't wait to be able to be there for that and showcase.
Yeah, and it shows the continued growth, I think, too, because like a lot of the women that I've spoken to in BKFC really advocate for the idea of like deepening more divisions, more titles, more opportunities. And it seems like that's kind of exemplified here, not even just with this being the inaugural featherweight title fight, which is very impressive, but also Britton Hart and Ty Emery throwing down for the strawweight title on day one. It just seems like a great time for the women and bare knuckle boxing. I mean, really the sport overall, but just great to see more titles and more women's divisions added in.
I completely agree. And I think that having a belt will bring more in because they have something to fight for. So I really think that it's a great idea, great decision, great everything. Because I think once they have something to fight for, there's going to be a lot more coming. So
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just kind of thinking of a name off the top of my head just because I think she's had some, I guess, loose public discourse with Christine Faria about maybe being intrigued with fighting her, but nothing substanceful. Like it seems like Chris Cyborg has indicated like some quasi level of
Oh
interest, at
yeah.
least like kind of tweeting about it. I mean, that could be an interesting addition to BKFC
Oh,
potentially.
I would absolutely love to fight Cyborg. That would be, yeah. Any time I would love it's Cyborg against Cyborga. I think we have the same amount of power, and it's power, aggression. It would be hell of a fucking fight. That would be great. Sorry if I'm not allowed to cuss on here, by the way.
No, no,
Okay.
you're totally good. Yeah.
I forget to ask ahead of time. Some of them are like, oh, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. Like, I mean, I used to do radio, so if it was that kind of environment, I'd be like, oh, I might have to edit this a
Yeah.
little bit, but this is fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good.
But yeah, just so many exciting opportunities and such an exciting time in the sport. And that even kind of ties into your next opponent a little bit, just because there's a certain level of familial connectivity between her family and Conor McGregor's family, who is the partial owner of BKFC, obviously. Like, what are your thoughts on, I guess, what he's been able to do as far as, I guess, like signal boosting the promotion specifically, but also, I guess, trying to draw more eyeballs into the sport in general?
I honestly think it was a great idea, a very smart idea, to bring him in and him be a part of it. Um, anyone and everyone knows who Connor is. So that is just a smart move. Everyone knows who he is, follows him. Like it's it's going to be big. It's going already. You can already see it, what it's doing. So I think it's just going to keep growing. And it's just getting bigger and bigger and faster. Even than what I'm hearing is from faster than the UFC. So that's growing at a faster pace than that. That's crazy. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what I was I was told.
It's kind of interesting. I guess this is more of like a nerdy historian kind of viewpoint, but I always feel like, I guess, like Sean Wheelock being so heavy in BKFC, not even just as a commentator, but also how he's helped them navigate some of the, I guess, regulatory kind of components. Because, like, a bigger thing with UFC early on was just how difficult it was to really get that traction with broader regulation. So it seems like that component to BKFC has really, I guess, behooved its growth and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's good about bringing people in that really do help them. Sean's a great person. I have so much respect for him. He's just, all in all, an amazing person, and what he does to help them is just incredible. Chris Lytle, like all of everyone that they have, helping them, they're doing it right, and that's why I think it's growing so fast.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like a lot of, cool facets to the whole thing. I guess I'm wondering because, like, the brevity of your fights, it would probably behoove a certain capacity to have a strength of schedule at the very least. Like, obviously, you're very zeroed in to this fight, but is there a mentality to want to get like a certain defense or even a couple defenses under your belt this year if all
Yeah.
falls into, yeah.
Yes, I want at least one, but I want as much as they want to give me. You know, if I get in and out quick like that, I just want one fast. So I want to stay busy. I want to stay active. None of us can do this forever. We want to do it for as long as possible, as much as possible. So yes, I want to defend my title as soon as possible because, in my opinion, you're not world champion until you defend your title. So. I'll get the world title, but to defend it, that that to me is, that makes you world champion.
Yeah, for sure. And something that I also thought was kind of cool. I mean, you talk about how busy you are. I mean, I very much gleaned that from doing my research on you, and that even extends to a book that you have out there. Can you kind of talk about that? That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's just it's a book just pretty much on me. My husband actually this it's not even something that I wrote. He sent in everything on me. Everything, we've been together for 6 years. We've known each other for 10. He knows exactly who I am. He takes all my nutrition stuff. He put everything down, like all my sayings, all my things that I live by, how I view things, everything. That book is me 100%. It's actually incredible. I wasn't even gonna sell it, because it's not like I actually wrote it. I am going to eventually be writing something on my life because it's been a roller coaster, but it's just awesome how this book is just it's how I would say things, it's how I would view things, it's everything. And so I bought a handful of them, so it's more like a limited edition. And people, I only did that because people were reaching out like, I want one. I'm like, that's awesome. I have so much support, even from people behind the scenes, just my fans and everything. I have had so much support since the beginning of my career. And I really appreciate the love and support. It means a lot to me.
That's an incredible testament to the quality of that relationship, just being that it was, I guess, I mean, your life's journey, but kind of, I guess, articulated in a way in his vision somewhat. Like you were speaking about how much he knows you and stuff like that. I feel like that's a beautiful kind of aspect to that book project there. So yeah, that's really cool to hear that you guys got to do that.
Yeah, it he's more than I can ever ask for, honestly. Ever since we've been together, everything's just been easier with fight camps, everything. He helps take the load off. He fully supports my career and my goals. You know, we have a business together now, so we do so much together, and he's my perfect partner, and we're definitely soulmates. Like we have the best relationship. I couldn't ask for more.
I feel like especially in this kind of endeavor, like that kind of support and connectivity is so beneficial. Like I would think if you had like someone who wasn't that, I don't know, entrenched or there for you, etc., it would be very difficult to pursue an endeavor like professional combat sports.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is if you have someone causing more stress for you. It only makes me stronger. It's only made me stronger, but it's definitely a lot harder. It's definitely a lot harder.
Yeah, no doubt. Just yeah, so cool that that's something that you have going on in your life. So important for sure. I guess one of the last things I wanted to kind of touch on while I still have you, because I'd seen a separate interview where you were saying you don't necessarily see this championship fight getting out of the second round. Like earlier, you were talking about how you think Rankin has enough durability and desire to at least get beyond that first round. Like, is that kind of how you're seeing this one wrap up, like a second round stoppage?
Yeah, I've actually had people tell me that that's what they're thinking it's going to happen in the second round as well, and I've had dreams that it's going to happen in the second round. It's already, I mean, yeah, I fully believe, second, maybe third, but second is where I'm thinking. But
And I
I'm
mean, that
ready
could,
for all 5 rounds. I just want her to know I'm ready for all 5 rounds.
yeah, no, I hear you, and I definitely believe that. Just considering the pedigree of the Shift team and how much work you're putting into it. So, yeah, just such an exciting fight. But just wanted to give you the floor all the same, Jessica, in case there was a final parting thought you wanted to add as we're wrapping up here. I appreciate you making time on Bare Knuckle Bowker to talk today.
No, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate anyone and everyone that takes the time to, ask me about how the fight camp's going and how the fight's going to go, and the support and love from everyone means a lot, especially like you said, this is a huge card and a huge opportunity for me. And I'm here to show the world exactly who I am. And if they don't know already, they're gonna. So I just want my sponsors, my team, my family, my kids, husband, there's just the support is unreal. And I love you all.
Goes down on April 5th, BKFC encroaching into Dubai, stepping into a new market, and we will see the first ever women's featherweight champion in the company as Jessica Borga and Hannah Rankin throw down. And yeah, again, to reiterate, Jessica, thanks so much for coming on Bare Knuckle Bowker today. All the best with the remainder of the training and everything. And yeah, I'll be peeping the fight, but until then, have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.